Good morning, everyone. Thanks a lot for checking out another video. Appreciate you clicking on it and hope you find it interesting. What we got going on today, we got a 5.3 that we're going to be putting some work in. This thing's fresh back from the machine shop. So we had the decks decked. They were decked 6/1000 of an inch. We got these things honed with torque plates, and we had the bores blueprinted. They were a little bit out from factory, actually quite a bit out from factory, but he was able to realign them. We punched it out 30 over. So now it is a 3.810 inch bore. We've got some forged pistons going in. These are all weight matched together. Summit Pro LS. And this is all balanced with the rotating assembly. We're using a stock crankshaft. Got it polished, balanced. There's our balance sheet. We're going to use the Gen 4 connecting rods. So rotating assembly is good to go. Block is good to go. What else we got? Spin your rig all the way around again. We got some cylinder heads here. They're the 862 heads. He put in the bigger valves. Nice valve job. He had to deck these 0.100 of an inch because they were really warped. We also got some BTR valve springs on them. The valve spring pressures are set. New valve seals. So these babies are ready to go. And what else we got in this one? I guess we'll get to the cam maybe a little bit later on, but it is a BTR turbo cam. But yeah, we got to gap some rings. We got to check bearing clearance. I got the bearings hanging out here. Don't mind the mess, there's a lot going on. So we'll get to that. So for the rings, we're going to start there. We're going to be forced induction over 15 pounds of boost. So we're going to use a top ring end gap factor of 0.007 for the top ring. And then for the second ring, we're going to be using 0.0075. So what this is going to get us, it's going to be about 26, 27 thou for the top ring, and about 28, 29, somewhere in there for the second ring. So we're going to get that going. We're going to fire up the ring grinder here. We're going to get those cut up. We'll get them squared up, measure them off, and get that going. Okay guys, I got all the rings filed, got them all labeled, ready to go. Top ring sitting at 27, second ring at 29. I went in and double checked all of the oil rings as well, and they are all a minimum of 15 thou. Actually in this case 17 is what I got. Went and deburred all the rings, both sides. I don't want any scratches or anything going on in the cylinder wall, so make sure they're all nice and deburred. So that's all done. Excuse me. Use the wheel here on the ring grinder to deburr it. Works so good. Like this thing is just, I don't know. For me, it's very, very worth the money. It kind of sucks to buy right up front, and then maybe your wife isn't very happy with you, but you know, like you do enough side jobs to make up for it. It's okay, right? Right, honey? Love you. So next I'm going to flip this block over. We're going to get the main caps together. They're in a box right now where they're all cleaned up. But I'll get this thing flipped over. I'll put some main bearings in it and put the caps on, torque them down, and then we're going to start checking the main bearing clearance. See where we're at there. Alright guys, before I slip any bearings in, I just want to point this out. It's a good idea to get in here with a file, and you just want to take that edge off. That way when you slip your new bearings in, you're not scuffing up the back side of your bearings or cutting them up. So you're not trying to go ham on it, but you want to just cut that edge just a little bit there so it doesn't scrape your your new bearings. You also want to take your caps and do the same thing to the edges on these. And then afterwards, obviously, you want to clean it up before you slip your new bearings in. After I'm done with everything I'm doing with my pre-measuring and everything, I'm gonna actually paint this thing, and then I'm going to final wash it. So it will be final washed after this, but in the meantime, I'm just cleaning up whatever mess I'm making right now to do my measuring. All right, guys, I got the main bearing clearance all spec'd out. Did the usual method where you torque them down, use your micrometer, get your size of the bore, or the journal, and then use your dial bore gauge to zero out between here. And then you use this inside the torque bearings to get your difference. And show you where we ended up here. First with the standard bearings, I had 18, 18, 23, 15, 15. That's where those ended up. Then I went to the standard X and tried those, and I got 28, 3, 32, 3, and 3. So we're going to use the standard X. I like these clearances, and we're going to run with that. A little on the looser side, but this guy is going to see quite a bit of boost, so that's right where I want it. All right, so next I'm going to do the rod bearing clearance. We're going to check that the same way. We got our bearing halves. We're going to put them into our rods. I'm going to use the rod vise here to hold the rod in place, and then I'll torque them down to spec. And the same thing, we'll measure it out and get a rod bearing clearance to make sure we're all good there. Okay, so we got the rod bearing clearance all checked. They are all good to go. We have anywhere from 25 thou to 27 thou. And what I had to do is I had to use the uppers I did as standards and the lowers I did as the standard X. So just using the standard was too tight. It was about 2000s or just under 2000s, right around 2000s anyway, the way it measured out. And then with the standard X, I got about 2.5, some maybe a touch over, up to 27. But it's still going to balance out because my main bearing clearance is looser than what my rods are, so the oil flow through the engine will still balance. So we're looking good here. Happy with that. Other than that, rods are done, mains are done, rings are done. The only thing left I want to check yet before starting the assembly is piston to wall clearance, but it was just at the machine shop, and I trust that he's got that all spec'd out, but I will double check it just to make sure everything looks good there too. All right, so I got the piston to wall clearance all figured out. We are looking at 42 10,000s across the board. Let's see, 44. We had one looser cylinder at number 4 there, but that's not that much looser. It's all going to be just fine. So they are forged pistons, so we do have a little bit of a looser clearance there. And these guys actually have a nice little spot, little target there on either side to line up your micrometer for when you're measuring it out. So real nice. Same method, dial bore gauge, micrometer, shove it in there and measure it out. One thing you want to do, because when you torque your heads on here, it distorts your walls a bit. You actually want to measure your piston wall clearance at the bottom, because at the base here, it's not going to shift around like your top will. So the difference between your bottom and the top, you will see a difference without your heads or without torque plates put on. So when you're doing that, measure from the bottom, not the top. Just a piece of advice there anyways. Other than that, we got some other things coming down. We got a Turbo 400 for the S10. For the race truck there we're going through. We had lost second gear last year, so we got all the parts here. Looks like we were losing the sprag. So we got some other parts that we're ordering for this, some other goodies, but we'll go over that in another video. Also working on a small block Chevy here for my brother-in-law's Camaro, 67 Camaro. So we're gonna get this thing cleaned up, get that thing going. We got lots of goodies going on for that build as well. Got parts lying everywhere. So we got a few fun builds on the way here. So we'll get these going, get some more footage of some of these as we're going, I guess, and we'll see how it turns out. I know I haven't put out a whole lot of videos lately, but we'll keep at it, and as I have time, I'll put some more out there. But thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.